So as promised, here's a second example of simplifying after some differentiation. This is a quotient rule example, and similarly I have done all the differentiation. I don't want you worrying about that bit at the moment. This is just focusing on the simplifying part, because that's the bit that seemed to cause some trouble. This is a follow-on, by the way, from the first video that I've done on simplifying, which was on the product result of a product rule differentiation. Excuse me. So I've differentiated this expression y equals x minus 4 to the 2/5 over x plus 3 to the power of x plus 3 to the power of a third. I've differentiated it using the quotient rule. That was the result. You can check through that if you wish to. I think I've done it all correctly though, and so I need to try and tidy this up. It's a mess, frankly, at the moment. And so I just want to talk you through what I'm thinking about as I start the process of tidying it up. So the first thing that I look at when I see this is that on the top, in the numerator of this fraction, there are two terms, and both of those terms have got a fraction at the beginning of them, and that's just going to get in the way. So I'm going to deal with that bit first, and the way I'm going to deal with that bit is I'm going to think about fifths and thirds. So common denominator would be a 15th. So I'm going to put a 15 on the bottom of the whole fraction. So essentially what I'm going to do really here is I'm going to look at the whole fraction, the whole result of the dy by dx. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom of the whole fraction by 15, and that will clear out those what we call subfractions, those fractions with the 2/5 and the 1/3 part. So let's multiply top and bottom by 15. So if I multiply this first term of the numerator by 15, that's just going to give me a 6 where that 2 was, and that's going to make it a whole number 6 here rather than a 2/5. Essentially 2/5 of 15 is 6, isn't it? So we've got a 6, and then I'll just copy out the brackets as exactly as they are for now, and we'll worry about those in a moment. So I'm doing this fairly carefully and one fairly small part at a time. It's so easy to try and rush these things and just forget where you are or make mistakes on it. So I'm multiplying by 15, and so in the second term I've got a third of 15. That's just going to give me a 5 there, isn't it? So 5, and then the same brackets with the same powers on it. Not fiddling with those bits at the moment. I'm only thinking about one thing at the time. That's all as it was, and then because I'm multiplying top and bottom at this stage by 15, I've just got to put a 15 on the bottom of this fraction as well. So 15 times x plus 3 to the power of 2/3. Okay, so that's a little bit tidy. I've dealt with the business of the fractions, so that's nicer than it was. So let's think about what we can do next. So I'm now looking to see on the top there, I've got much as we did with the product rule, I'm thinking about two terms that separated away by that minus just in front of the 5, minus 5 bit. I'm thinking about two terms. I've got numbers in both of them, 6 and 5, no common factors there. But then I've got two brackets in each term as well, and the bits inside the two brackets are the same as each other. I've got a bracket with x minus 4 in both, and I've got a bracket with x plus 3 in both, just with different powers on them. So much as we did previously, what I'm going to do at this stage is I'm going to factorize out. I'm going to take a common factor out with each bracket and its lowest power as it appears at the moment in that numerator. So I've got an x minus 4 and an x plus 3, so let's have an x minus 4 bracket and think about what power we want on that. So take out the lowest power from the two terms on the x minus 4 bracket on the top there. This one's got a 2/5, this one's got a -3/5. -3/5 is lower than 2/5, so I'm going to take out a -3/5. So x minus 4 to the power of -3/5 is going to be my common factor for that part. And then I've got to do the same thing with the other bracket, x plus 3. And again, think about what's the lowest power I've got on an x plus 3 bracket in this this numerator. So this one's got a third in the first term, and in the second term it's got a -2/3. The lowest power of those is -2/3, so that's going to be what I take out, -2/3. So there's my common factors, there's my factorising part done. I just got to work out what's left after those common factors have come out. So I'll open myself up a nice new big square bracket, and I'll think about this whole of this first term. So remember that I'm thinking about all of this part here now. There's my first term, what has come out and what's left. So what's come out is x minus 4 to the -3. So that all of that bracket's come out with the right power on it, so that bracket's going to disappear inside my square bracket. And then I've got this bracket x plus 3, it had a third, I've taken out -2/3, so it's the same bracket but it's got a different power on it. The 6, well, I didn't do anything with the numbers, so that 6 still needs to stay there. So 6, and then, oops, sorry, that 6 has gone a bit weird, but never mind. The x minus 4 is okay, that's all correct outside the this square bracket. So now I've got to think about how do I get the right bit for the x plus 3 bracket. So what would I multiply this by to the power of -2/3 to give me the same thing to the power of a third? Well, adding the powers means that I would have to have a power of 1 to add on to -2/3 to bring it up to a third. So I just need to have that bracket there, x plus 3 to the power of 1, and I just won't bother writing that power of 1 there. So that bit's done. That first term should be okay. You can check it by multiplying if you want to, but it should be okay now. Second term is negative. I need a negative at the 5. That's as the 6 was in the first term, the 5 is going to remain there, and that's gone a bit weird as well. Not to worry. The x plus 3 had a power of -2/3, which it has outside this square bracket as well, so I can leave that bit as it is. The x minus 4 part had 2/5. I've taken out -3/5. What do I need to add to -3/5 to make 2/5? Well, I need to add 1. So I'm going to get that bracket appearing with a power of 1 on it inside here. So x minus 4. Just not bothering to write the power of 1 on it. There we go. And then not forgetting that this is part of a fraction with a denominator of 15 x plus 3 to the power of 2/3. So that seems to be okay so far. And now it's just a case of, well, some tidying up to do. Let's deal with the tidying up one bit at a time. The first thing to think about is the square bracket, really. That's looking fairly horrible, but easily expanding the bits inside that and tidying those up, collecting like terms and everything, that's going to be not too bad. So not worrying about these bits out at the front of the square bracket for the time being. I'm going to worry about those in a minute. I don't like them really because they've got negative powers on them, but I'll deal with that at the next stage. Oops. And then instead of this square bracket here, I'm just going to have a tidied up bracket, which is 6x take away 5x gives me just an x. And then I've got 6 3's give me 18, and -5 times -4 gives me plus 20, so that's going to be a plus 38, isn't it? So it's plus 38 there. And then not forgetting that all of that is still over this 15 times x plus 3 to the power of 2/3. So that's that bit of tidying up done. The only last little bit of tidying up that I really need to do is to think about these negative powers. I always try to avoid having negative powers on things if I can, and I can here. I can just drop those, both of them, because on the top of my fraction now I've just got 3 things being multiplied together, so that's fine. Don't need to worry too much about it now. Anything with a negative power can just drop onto the bottom of the fraction and not worry about it. So that's just going to leave me with that x plus 38 on the top. And then on the bottom of my fraction, I've got the 15 that was already there. I've got an x plus 3 to the power of 2/3, which was there. Now, these two parts up here are going to drop down and make their powers positive. So this x plus 3 and that x plus 3 can get combined, can't they? So the 2/3 here, when I drop this one down to the bottom, that minus 2/3 is going to turn into a positive 2/3, which can add on to these 2/3 here. So in the end, I'm going to have a bracket there with an x plus 3 in it that's going to have a power of 2/3 plus 2/3. Trouble with my plus signs there. 2/3 plus 2/3 gives me 4/3. And then finally, I've got the other bracket from the top that had a negative power on it, which can't get combined with anything else here. So x minus 4, and that minus 3/5 from the previous line is just going to turn into the positive version. And there we are. That should be finished. And I think that's about as tidy as it can get. So there's my messy lines.